If you are new to our channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Well, we're going to talk and get in the program here. We're going to talk about the mistakes in which we have made, lessons that we have learned, not necessarily mistakes that we have made this year in the garden. Now, Holly and I were thinking about what is the lessons that we have learned this year, and we had a whole bunch of them. We thought, well, we already knew that. So we narrowed it down to ones that we actually did learn this year compared to what we had already known prior and trying to avoid the mistakes making to learn the lesson. So,
okay, so the first one I think we should talk about is our potatoes. It's kind of twofold. One is that we're kind of deciding if we're going to continue to grow potatoes. But we also had our potatoes, a lot of them, probably 75% of them, rot in the ground.
And that wasn't the result of the potato itself or the variety of potato. It was because we got the plants died back during their normal cycle, and then they began to, we got a lot of water, a lot of rain. And the rain caused the potatoes to begin to rot in the ground. So we had that issue. Now, the problem that we have with potatoes, we are not the go-to potato farmers that you might find on the internet. The general rule of potato return on investment is for 1 pound of potatoes you put in, you should be getting between 3 to 5 pounds. Let's say that. 5 on the high end of pounds return. For every 1 pound you plant, you should get 5. Some of the better farmers from the better potato growers can get 10, and some can even get 15 on extreme levels. You plant 1 pound of potatoes, you get 15 in return. Now, we have averaged between 2 to 4 pounds. Sometimes I think one year we had 6 pounds on return on investment. But for what you can buy at the store, a 10-pound bag for $3 or $4. Now the organic is a little higher.
Yeah, even organic is pretty reasonable in price at this point. So I don't know if it's just because potatoes are a demand of a product and there's a good supply of them or what, but I agree that because of that we should maybe consider not growing potatoes.
So let's do a little mathematician work here. So you have one potato plant. Let's say you put 1 pound of potatoes in, and we get in return on a good year, let's say 4 pounds of return on potatoes. That is typically, let's say a 5 or 6 foot row. Just pulling numbers here. Let's say an 8 foot row. So in an 8 foot row in tomatoes, you would plant 4 tomato plants, 1 every 2 foot. Off each one of those tomato plants, you can safely project to get between 15 and 20 pounds over a growing season, even on a bad year with a good variety like a black Krim. It's a tremendous difference in return there. 4 plants at, say, 10 pounds, that's 40 pounds versus 1 pound of potatoes at 4 pounds returns or 5 pounds returns. So, and the value, we've got to look at, if we lived in the country and we were 30 minutes from the local grocery store and we had 5 acres that we could plant on, we would plant potatoes again next year. Mm-hmm. Because we could make it work. We could physically, we could go, okay, it's financially viable for us to plant potatoes rather than driving 30 minutes to buy potatoes. So if you're just growing a few potatoes, I mean, we will probably get a few potatoes in the ground, but we're not.
But it is fun to grow them, though. I know that might not make sense, but it's fun to harvest them because it's like a potato treasure hunt. You don't know what is there.
It's fun to harvest when they're
not rotten.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was disappointing. But when they're not rotten, it's kind of fun. So it's worth growing, I think, just a few because of that harvesting aspect.
So we learned that. Second thing we learned was if you don't have good plant starts in the spring, don't try to put poor or small, undersized plant starts in the ground. Just go and buy them from the local, buy them from Bloomell's, or if you're outside of the Milwaukee area, your local garden center, and get good, healthy plant starts and put in the ground. The reason why, which we kind of knew this already, but we were trying to save and salvage what we had. For those of you who follow us on the video series side of the thing on the website, we had a soil company sponsor that provided us, that was, we were using their product, and it was not what was promised. The information was not what was incorrect in what we were being told, and our plant starts suffered. Our leeks, our kale, our brassicas, our onions all died because of this planting material. So we terminated the contract with them and reached out to Purple Cow, and Purple Cow was more than happy to come on the show here and be a sponsor. But we had to go buy our plant starts.
Right, we had to buy our plant starts, and the ones that we did have were not good.
The ones that we started with, that
Right.
old, that bad material, the bad potting soil. So we went and bought plant starts, and we've got phenomenal kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. We had great kohlrabi from when we bought them at Blue Mills. Great onions. Leeks look phenomenal. So don't try to plant. We did plant the ground cherries. They were teeny tiny things that. They were like 3 inches tall when they should have been about 10 inches tall. Those are still producing.
Yeah, they're doing okay.
But just imagine what the production would have been if we would have started with a healthy plant versus a 10-inch plant versus a 2-inch plant. Same thing with the peppers and the eggplants. We started with 1 to 2 inch plants.
And I think we also learned that we were very transparent about this.
Yes.
with our.
You can go to the YouTube channel and type in the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener, I'm sorry, and we put a video out and. Because we were getting feedback from people who were buying the product that we recommended and saying, hey, this stuff's junk. It's killing our plants.
Right, and I think that we also learned that because of the huge response we got in return from that we really appreciate our followers and our listeners, and we like to be transparent with them, and I think they appreciated that.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to, hide stuff and go, okay, well, we've got to do something else, and, it makes us look bad in the long run. It always catches up to you. We learned that leaves, we kind of knew this, but it reinforced our knowledge of the importance of leaves in the garden.
This is basically number 3 and 4.
Yes.
Kind of combined, kind of not combined, whatever. So leaves are very healthy for your soil. So what you want to do now, especially now because we're getting a lot of leaves falling off the trees, is you want to collect those leaves and put them on your garden.
Just put them on the garden. You don't need to shred them. Just get them on the garden right now. Even if you have weeds coming up or the plant life, you can remove the diseased plant life that you have and just dump the leaves on them. That's what we're going to do for the next 8 weeks is just collect leaves and just get them in the garden, not shred them, and mound them up 2 to 3 foot over our grow areas. And by, I guess it was early June, most of it had broke down and didn't even know we had anything in the garden. And we brought 2,000 pounds in. How do I know? I weighed several garbage barrels full and removed the weight of the garbage barrel and did the math and calculated how many things we brought in.
He really did. Yeah.
To figure out how much we were putting in the garden. So leaves, and the other thing, in the spring, we can leave the leaves there. They will have broke down, compressed somewhat. You can move the leaves back, plant your plant start, and then bring the living mulch or that mulch back around the plant to suppress weeds and hold water, the water retention that the leaves provide. So you don't have to buy hardware cloth or buy mulch of some sort or another in order to do that. The other thing we were able, that just the amount of leaves that broke down to feed the soil. Was incredible, and the healthiness of the worm population obviously increased.
Worms are very important for your garden.
They won't overpopulate
themselves. However, you don't want to add worms. You want to add organic material, which will kind of invite the worms. If you feed them, they will come, and then they're going to build their home there, and they won't make too many.
Right.
So
if you have non-toxic soil,
right,
and you add organic matter, give it a little time, the worms are going to find it. They migrate up from beneath, and they start their home there and build a city and all of that, and build factories and start working in your garden.
Doing their thing.
Right.
But that's important to know because leaves will increase your worm population. Sometimes we pull the leaves back and the worms are just kind of at the surface.
It's called organic material added to that. And chemical-free grass clippings, you can also shredded paper, you can do that as well.
So along with that, we put cardboard as mulch. Where is that patch? By the where the yacons
are, yeah.
And that worked. It worked well.
Now, first of all, we there is a certain level of toxicity that can be tied to the glue in which the cardboard is combined with. We feel, and we've looked into this, and we feel with the minute amount of toxicity, we're already full of toxins anyway. The little bit that is emitting into the soil offsets the tremendous benefit that the cardboard provides for us in the realm of weed suppression water retention, and aesthetics when we plant our plants. We have the leaves are down, as we talked about in the fall. So in the spring, we come in and we layer the amount of cardboard that we have available. We remove the tape, any tape on that, and then we flatten it out and we cut holes and then plant our plants.
So I guess with this being said, this might be hard to visualize. By the time spring happens, those leaves have gone from 75% down. So it's not like we're putting cardboard on like 2 feet of leaves.
Right.
They've really broken down. So it's maybe about a half inch.
Well, 6 inches.
6 inches. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But like Joy said, they do break down. So it's not like, I guess that's kind of funny to think about if
a big rainbow hoop of cardboard over leaves. Yeah.
Right.
But we are still working with that, and it worked well where we did implement this particular procedure. The only place where the weeds were coming up was the cracks in which the cardboard was not overlayered, and where the hole is at for the plant to grow through. The weeds were coming up through that particular area that the sunlight exposed to the soil. And we want to cover the soil. And we've had guests on the program, and we've talked about it. Leaving soil exposed is like going outside on a hot summer day without a shirt on. You're going to get sunburn. The sun is going to hurt your body. Same thing with the soil. It's going to, the wind, the snow, the rain, it erodes and removes material and microorganisms and particles of the soil in which you need to keep covered and lock in to instead of being flushed away.
Right. So that is important is the leaves and then how the cardboard is placed on there. And the reason why we kind of are concerned also about covering the soil is if you look anywhere in nature, aside from like a desert, there's no bare ground. So if you're out, hiking in the woods or whatever, there's always some sort of ground cover, and that makes for a very nice growing situation.
So some of the mistakes that we have made that we hope that you don't make because we did it for you. Thank you for checking out the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. For more, go to the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com for full-length in-studio video and podcast replay of Season 1. Season 2 underway and added weekly. Tweet us at TWVG Show or hashtag TWVG to be part of the program.